Hello everyone, is Bringonthechaos Glizzy for another What If. What if Naruto is in the world of the Avatar? What will happen to our dear heroes? Do Naruto go for good, or evil? Before we start, can you like and subscribe for more What If? If you wanted to request a new series, please comment 3 hearts and say your fanfic that you wanted. It really helps. Thanks. Let's start. Chapter 5. Hello. I own nothing. 3 days have passed since the crew left the Southern Air Temple and began making their journey through the Earth Kingdom, towards the Northern Water Tribe. Both to find Korra and Katara, a waterbending master to train them, and an earthbending master to train Korra. Currently the group was riding Appa high up in the air, with Korra reading one of the airbending scrolls they had gotten from the temple. The new avatar having not taken her eyes off it, the moment they left the temple, having been reading all the beginner scrolls repeatedly, to memorize all of them. Not wanting to risk messing something, when she actually begins trying to airbend, if she can even airbend. Never thought I'd see the day when Korra willingly read anything. Sokka said teasingly, knowing Korra wasn't a big fan of books or scrolls, preferring action over reading. Be quiet, Sokka, retorted Korra, finally looking away from the scroll to give her brother an annoyed look. Welcome back to the land of the living, Korra, Naruto joked, glad to see Korra looking away from the airbending scrolls, since leaving the Southern Air Temple, with Korra blushing in embarrassment at realizing just how out of it she's been focusing entirely on the scrolls. Rewrite. Korra muttered, as Katara put a hand on her shoulder and smiled at her twin. It's all right, Korra, we understand. You just want to be ready for when you begin practicing airbending and don't want to mess up, Katara said reassuringly, with Korra nodding since she's still nervous at the idea of actually trying to airbend and not having an actual master to teach her or show her how to do it. Since it's one thing to read a scroll of what to do, it's another to have someone there to show her how it's done. But you shouldn't obsess over it since you'll only end up neglecting your waterbending training as well. You don't want to end up falling behind in learning the other elements, by only focusing on one, Katara added, not wanting her sister to forget to train in waterbending as well, and eventually her earthbending and firebending training, as well. Alright, I get it. I'll try to work on waterbending too, relented Korra, Katara nodding thankfully. We should be coming up on an island, right now, Naruto said, taking Korra's place and taking the reins to guide Appa down to an island below, with Momo jumping onto his shoulder to look down at the island. It'll be a good place to get some training in, both with waterbending and getting started on your airbending, said Naruto, while looking at Korra, who nodded, glad for the chance to try and get started on her training, with Appa soon landing on the shore of the island, with the 14s jumping off the bison. Katara and Korra immediately went up to the water and began practicing their waterbending, with Sokka seating against a tree, tending to his boomerang and club. After some time, the twins went back up to the shore to let Korra try some airbending. Whenever you're ready, Korra, said Naruto, interested to see Korra put what she learned from the scrolls to the test, with Katara and Sokka also interested to see their sister try to airbend. Nodding, Korra swallowed her nervousness, before closing her and taking a few breaths to try and clear her mind. Doing this for a few moments, Korra lifted her arms, before twirling her hands in circular motions, remembering some of the beginner techniques from the scrolls. Repeating the motions a couple more times, Korra began hearing the sound of wind being blown and opened her eyes. The girl being shocked, when she actually saw a tiny ball of compressed air in her hands, before looking at Naruto and her siblings, seeing that the latter too had surprised expressions while Naruto was smiling. "Way to go, Korra," said Naruto. "Wow, that's amazing," Katara said, smiling to see her sister was actually airbending. "You're actually the Avatar," said Sokka, having had his doubts that Korra was the Avatar, but now he's seeing proof that she really is the Avatar. I'm the Avatar," Korra said, upon seeing undeniable proof that she really is the Avatar. Korra then thrust her hands forward to try and have the air ball turn into a gust of air, only to be disappointed when all she managed to do was create a light breeze, with the only effect being some of the leaves being ruffled slightly, the Avatar looking at her hands in disappointment. "Great, I'm able to make a light breeze, some airbending," said Korra, her previous excitement at actually succeeding to airbend now vanishing, when she saw that all she could, was the equivalent to someone blowing air out their mouths or a light breeze. "Don't get too down on yourself, Korra. Airbending is the most spiritual form of bending, compared to the other forms. I'm sure that with some meditation exercises and building your spiritual awareness, and you'll get airbending down in no time. Besides, even if it wasn't much, the fact you were still able to airbend this soon shows that you're already on the right path," Naruto said, while smiling at Korra, which she returned, feeling her spirits being lifted at his words and the confidence Naruto has in her. "Naruto's right, now that you've taken the first step to learning airbending, you'll be getting better at it, in no time," said Katara, smiling at her sister. "Yeah, give it time, and you'll be kicking Fire Nation butt in no time, at all," Sokka added with a smirk, glad that they'll soon be able to take the fight to the Fire Nation. Korra's smile widened at the encouraging words from her siblings, with her worries easing slightly. "Thanks guys," replied Korra, having needed to hear that and was thankful that she had them with her, on this journey. Unfortunately, the moment was ruined when Naruto heard some rustling in the trees and bushes, narrowing his eyes as he looked around. "What?" Katara said, only to be cut off when Naruto raised his hand, shushing her, making the siblings tense, with Korra and Katara getting ready to waterbend, while Sokka gripped his boomerang. "Are they enemies?" Naruto mentally asked Kurama, given the Biju's ability to sense negative emotions. "Whoever they are, they certainly don't have the best intentions for you brats," replied Kurama, with Naruto nodding at this. "You might as well come out. We know you're there," Naruto said loudly, forcing their stalkers to reveal themselves, with it revealing to be a group of young girls, wearing green kimonos and white face makeup, along with wielding metal fans. Without a word the girls rushed towards the group, with Sokka throwing his boomerang at one of them, only for the girl to deflect it with her fan. With Sokka then drawing his club and ran towards her with a battle cry, only for the girl to duck under his swing, before grabbing the upcoming warrior by his shoulder and flipping him over her shoulder, onto the ground while tying his left arm and leg together. Meanwhile, Korra and Katara had three of the fan-wielding girls circling them, being able to keep them at a distance with their waterbending. Seeing a chance, Korra shot a jet of water at the fighters with the girls flipping out of the way, before jumping into the air. Folding their fans, The girls threw one fan each at the sisters, with the two moving the water in front of them before launching it towards the girls again. Being able to hit on them, before managing to freeze the water, pinning the girl against a tree. Though this left the twins open, as the remaining two girls ran up behind them, sweeping their legs out from under them, before tying their hands together, preventing them from bending. Finally, Naruto was fighting off the remaining four warriors, dodging their fan strikes, while trying to get a feel for their fighting styles. They don't seem to be really attacking, more like trying to get me to attack first and then retaliate. Naruto thought, seeing how while they were attacking, they didn't seem to be really trying to strike him, along with keeping the distance, as if waiting to really attack after he makes a move. Jumping into the air, Naruto saw the way they tensed up in preparation for any attack he'd send at them, making the whiskered blonde smirk, knowing they wouldn't be prepared for this. It was bound to get out sooner or later, thought Naruto, before pulling out a kunai and throwing it at the girls, who were slightly confused at him only throwing a single dagger. Only to be shocked when Naruto began going through hand signs. Kunai Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto shouted, as the single kunai was then replicated, until there were dozens raining down towards the warriors, who were shocked at the unexpected action. Though they managed to come out of their shock in time, to begin deflecting the kunai with their fans, they were having some difficulty due to the sheer number of them, resulting in two of the warriors suddenly finding themselves pinned to the ground by kunai stabbing into the kimonos, with the remaining two managing to stay standing, as the last of the kunai were knocked aside, only to see Naruto unseal a large foldable Fuma shuriken, which he then threw at them. Rather than try and block or deflect the giant shuriken, the warriors instead dodged around it, only for Naruto to reveal the wires he had attached to it, with the Fuma shuriken separating into the four blades, which Naruto manipulated with the wire to wrap around and restrain the two girls. The two warriors that been facing Katara and Korra then rushed towards Naruto, swinging their fans at him, with Naruto pulling out two kunai to block or deflect their strikes, eventually managing to knock their fans out of their hands, before incapacitating them with some well-placed chi strikes. Looking, Naruto saw that the only one left was the one who took out Sokka. The boy, assuming she must be the leader, who was regarding him warily, rather than charging towards him. "Look, we didn't come here looking for a fight," said Naruto, putting his kunai away and holding up his hands. "Could have fooled me," the girl retorted, while looking at her defeated friends. "Says the girls who were spying on us and then attacked us first. We were only defending ourselves," stated Naruto. "And how do we know you aren't just Fire Nation spies?" demanded the girl, regarding him suspiciously, as even though she saw Korra and Katara waterbend, it wouldn't be that strange for the Fire Nation to have other benders in their forces. "If we were really Fire Nation spies, do you really think we'd be having this conversation? Or wouldn't I have killed your allies, rather than simply restrain them?" Naruto asked, with the girl frowning, and saw that her friends were unharmed, aside from probably their pride taking a blow at how they were taken down so quickly, with Naruto even going as far as to free the girls he restrained to prove his point, making the girl lower her fans, upon seeing they weren't really enemies. "Forgive our hostility, but with the war going on, one can never be too safe when encountering intruders on our island," said the girl, as they freed Korra, Katara, and Sokka, with the twins releasing the one they had frozen to a tree, while the two that Naruto chi blocked were helped up. "We understand. Who are you, anyway?" Katara asked, having assumed the island was deserted, but it seemed they were wrong. My name's Suki, the leader of our order. Come on, I'll take you to our village," said Suki, motioning them to follow her, which they did, with Sokka being rather reluctant and annoyed at having been beaten by a girl. It wasn't long until the group arrived at the fan-wielding girls' village, where they were greeted by who they guessed was the village leader. "Suki, why have you brought these strangers into our village?" questioned the old man. "We found them down by the shore. Assuming they were enemies, we responded accordingly. But they proved they had no ill intentions to us, so we brought them here as guests," Suki replied, with the man looking at the four for a few moments, before nodding. "Very well, if Suki vouches for you, then I welcome you to our village. I am Oyaji," Oyaji said. "It's nice to meet you. I'm Katara, this is my sister, Korra, our brother, Sokka, and our friend, Naruto. What exactly is this island, and who are those girls?" Katara asked, surprised to see the island wasn't as deserted as they thought it'd be. "This is Kyoshi Island, the home of Avatar Kyoshi and the Kyoshi warriors," Oyaji answered. "Avatar Kyoshi," said Korra, surprised at hearing the name of one of her past lives. "That's right. She founded our order and we protect Kyoshi Island, in her memory," Suki replied, much to their amazement at being on the island home of a past avatar, though Sokka was still feeling some annoyance at his earlier defeat. "Well, great. But Korra is the new avatar Gar," said Sokka, before grunting, when Korra cut him off with an elbow to the stomach. Historian. What our brother meant was that Korra is an avatar historian, we all are actually. And we're currently studying the history of the avatar, said Katara, covering up Sokka's slip-up, knowing how bad it'd be if word got out that Korra was the avatar and currently on Kyoshi Island, not to mention Naruto being here, as well. "That's right. In fact, we just came from the Southern Air Temple," Naruto said, before unsealing some of the airbending scrolls they had gotten, figuring it'd pointless to try and keep his abilities a secret, since he already revealed them to the Kyoshi warriors. With the villagers being amazed and intrigued at the strange abilities, and how Naruto seemingly made the scrolls appear out of thin air. Well, I'd be more than happy to tell you all about Avatar Kyoshi. If you don't mind me asking some questions of my own about your abilities," Oyaji said to the young historians, with Naruto nodding in agreement. "I don't see a problem with that. Though, I won't be able to tell you much about them," replied Naruto, knowing while he can tell them about his abilities, he can't tell them everything, with Oyaji nodding in understanding. "It's fine. With the war going on, everyone is on edge at the moment," Oyaji said, knowing how important some secrets are at the moment. Meanwhile, Korra and Katara decided to explore the village, gaining a small crowd following them, as the villagers were interested at meeting the two waterbenders. While Sokka was still brooding over his loss against Suki. Fire Nation ship. Though unknown to the crew, word began spreading of Naruto's presence on Kyoshi Island, given his unique abilities, with word soon reaching Zuko and Azula's ship. "Naruto's on Kyoshi Island," Azula demanded, while looking at the servant, wanting to make sure she just heard correctly, with the servant nodding nervously, not wanting to invoke the princess's anger. "Uncle, ready the rhinos. He's not getting away from me, this time," said Zuko, as the siblings stood up to go get ready for departure. "Are you going to finish that?" Iroh asked, while pointing at the plates of smoking fish that the two had ignored, in favor of news about Naruto's location. The siblings going back and grabbing them, since they were hungry and wanted to make sure they were at full strength, when they reached Kyoshi Island. Timeskip 1 day Kyoshi Island. I can't believe I got beat up by a bunch of girls. Sokka muttered as he made his way to the dojo in the village, after asking around to find where the Kyoshi warriors trained, wanting to get a rematch against Suki after how she defeated him. Reaching the dojo, Sokka peeked in to see 6 Kyoshi warriors, plus Suki, were inside training, with the upcoming warrior walking inside, getting their attention. Sorry ladies, didn't mean to interrupt your dance lesson. But I want a rematch. Sokka said, smirking as he began stretching, while looking at Suki. A rematch. Well, you've come to the right place, but don't feel too bad if it ends, like before. Said Suki, smirking, as Sokka continued stretching. That was just a fluke and you caught me off guard. This time I'll be ready, after all, I was the best warrior in my village. Stated Sokka, with Suki rolling her eyes at his words. Wow. Best warrior, huh? In your whole village. I guess I better be careful, then. Suki said with sarcasm lacing her tone, which Sokka didn't take notice of. Oh, don't worry, I'll go easy on you. Alright, you stand over there. Now, this may be a little tough, but try to block me. Said Sokka, getting into his stance, while Suki stood across from him with an almost bored expression. Sokka bends through his knees and attacks the female warrior by trying to punch her. But Suki does not move, but easily defends herself by bringing up her left arm and thrusting her closed fan against Sokka's shoulder. With the boy crying out in pain and staggering backward. Or, hey, good. Of course, I was going easy on you. Sokka repeated, while unwilling to admit it was a little impressive. Of course. Said Suki, confident this won't take much longer, with Sokka now looking annoyed at how nonchalant she sounded. Let's see if you can handle this. Sokka shouted, going to attack Suki with a roundhouse kick. Suki quickly dodged under Sokka's outstretched leg and pushes him off balance. When the Water Tribe warrior lands flat on his back with a loud thud, Suki lazily opens her fans to wave herself some air. Sokka, shocked by his second failure, loses his temper at the sight of Suki's defiant posture. That does it. Yelled Sokka, his voice cracking in anger, now refusing to stop until he takes her down. He gets up and madly charges her again, with Suki quickly closing her fan and moves out of Sokka's way. She grabs him by the arm with her right hand, while pushing against his shoulder with her left hand, quickly spinning him around. After 2 turns, she switches position and spins Sokka in the other direction. Sokka is powerless as he's being tossed around, before Suki suddenly halts him, so he topples forward. Before falling down, Suki loosens Sokka's belt and ties his left hand to his right foot, behind his back, in one swift movement. Sokka tried to maintain his balance for a while, by jumping on one leg, but it wasn't long, before he loses footage and smacks down flat on his face. Anything else you want to teach us? Suki asked, mockingly. Oh, I hear someone calling by. Sokka stammered, before quickly making a retreat and crawling out of the dojo, with Suki cutting his restraints when he passed by, allowing Sokka to get up and run out. With Naruto and Katara. Meanwhile, Naruto and Katara were gathering some supplies, in preparation for when they leave Kyoshi Island to continue their journey. Wanting to make sure they kept their supplies full stocked, never knowing when they'll get the chance to get more from any towns or villages. Though they then noticed Korra walking around with a brooding expression on her face, while kicking a rock. Curious and worried at what was wrong with her, the two paid for their items, with Naruto sealing him away, before going over to Korra. Eventually reaching her near the post with a statue of Avatar Kyoshi at the top. Korra, are you alright? Katara asked, putting a hand on her sister's shoulder, with Korra looking away from the statue to her sister, before sighing. No. I've been practicing my airbending in some of the more isolated parts of the island, and now I'm lucky to even make a light breeze, said Korra, spinning her hands, with Naruto and Katara just barely feeling a breeze blow around them. I thought I might have started getting the hang of it, but still nothing. I also tried meditating, but that didn't help either. I even tried meditating near that shrine to Kyoshi for, I don't know, guidance or some kind of advice, I guess, said Korra as she looked down, once again wondering how she could be the Avatar, when she can't even make a breeze with airbending. It only got worse, when she heard of everything that Kyoshi was able to do in her life and how long she lived, over 200 years. Not to mention the fact that she was able to create an entire island, separating it from the mainland with earthbending and then using airbending to push it out to sea. Compared to that, Korra wasn't sure how she could even hope to put an end to the war and stop the Fire Nation. Korra, Ba Sing Se wasn't built in a day, and you just found out you're the Avatar. You shouldn't expect yourself to suddenly become master of all the elements, in just a few days. It took the other avatars years to master all 4 elements, you aren't any different, Katara said comfortingly, with Naruto nodding in agreement. Katara's right, Korra, you shouldn't put so much pressure on yourself. You'll master the elements on your own time when you're ready. And I know you'll be a great avatar, just like I know you'll be a great waterbender, Katara, Naruto said, smiling at the sisters, as they looked at him in surprise. You really think I'll be a great avatar? Korra asked. You think I'll be a great waterbender? Asked Katara, not expecting Naruto to say that to her. I don't think, I know it. You may not see it, Korra, but I know that you have potential that's practically limitless. And look at what you were able to do back in South Pole without meaning to, Katara, being able to break that giant glacier. So, I know without a doubt that with the right training, both of you will see just how strong you really are, Naruto said confidently, with the twins looking at him in surprise that he had that much faith in them and their abilities, as it filled both girls with a warm feeling and a desire to prove Naruto right in having faith in them. Wise words, Naruto, and correct as well, Oyagi said, walking up to the trio, whose eyes widened in surprise and embarrassment that they hadn't noticed him approaching, and likely heard what they were talking about. Oh Oyagi, how much did you hear? Korra asked nervously, hoping he didn't hear the fact that she's the Avatar. Enough. And it is an honor to officially meet you, Avatar Korra, said Oyagi with a short bow, making them wince that he knew. We're really sorry for not telling you. It wasn't for ulterior motives or anything like that, Katara said. Yeah. We just didn't want word getting out that Korra is the Avatar, said Naruto. It's alright you three, I understand the need to keep it a secret. Besides, even if you had told us the truth, we likely would have believed you were lying, Oyagi replied, knowing they likely wouldn't have believed them that Korra was the Avatar, especially since she could only really bend water at the moment. Still, we're sorry for the deception. But we'd also ask that you keep this a secret, especially since everyone is still under the assumption the Avatar is an air nomad, and an elderly one at that, Naruto said, given no one knew of Aang being frozen in the ice and assumed the Avatar was in hiding, or something along those lines, allowing Korra to continue to move around without worry of being hunted, for the time being at least. Given they knew it was likely a matter of time before word spread about a new avatar, and everyone knew it was Korra. But it'd be better for them to keep it a secret for as long as possible. Of course. But I will need to tell the Kyoshi warriors, and don't worry, they can be trusted to keep it a secret. Said Oyaji, with the three nodding in agreement, relieved that Korra being the avatar would continue to be a secret. Though if I may give some advice on why your airbending is going slowly. Oyaji said, while looking at Korra. I'll take any advice you have. Replied Korra, knowing she'll need all the help she can get, at the moment. Air is the element of freedom and represents spiritual awareness. The air nomads detached themselves from worldly problems and concerns. Finding peace and freedom was the key to solving the difficulties in life. Along with seeking spiritual enlightenment, which also resulted in every air nomad to be born, being an airbender. As opposed to the other three nations, where only certain individuals can bend. For you, your insecurities in being the avatar and whether or not you can accomplish your role in stopping the Fire Nation, it is hindering your ability to airbend. Until you can free yourself of your self-doubt, along with your lack of self-confidence and self-esteem, the ability to airbend will be lost to you, aside from those light breezes you can make. Oyaji explained. While his words were helpful in figuring out her problem, they also didn't help Korra at all. As how was she supposed to stop doubting herself, when the war was raging on every day? With everyone counting on the avatar, on her, to show up and end it. Korra then looked at Naruto, when he placed a hand on her shoulder and smiled at her. Don't worry, Korra. You will be able to move past this and master airbending, maybe not today or tomorrow, but you will. Naruto said, with Korra smiling at his words and put her hand over his. Thank you. Replied Korra, before quickly looking away while blushing, and quickly retracting her hand. Katara smiled at her sister, glad she was feeling better. But at the same time, also feeling annoyed with her for some reason. The sight making Oyaji chuckle, before walking away. Ah, to be young again. Oyaji commented as he returned to the village. Time skip one day. The next day, Sokka returned to the dojo with his head hung low, along with feeling more humbled after his repeated defeats against Suki. Hey, Suki. Sokka said, when he went inside. Hoping for another dance lesson. Suki demanded, with Sokka wincing at her words and unsure at how he was supposed to respond. No, well, let me explain. Said Sokka, having trouble saying what he wanted to. Spit it out. What do you want? Said Suki, either wanting him to say what he wanted to, or leave. Sokka was hurt by her hostility, but figured he deserved with how he was acting. Before finally dropping to his knees and bowing his head. I came to apologize for how I was acting, and believing I was stronger than you, just because you were a girl. And I would be honored if you would teach me. Sokka said. Even if I'm a girl. Retorted Suki. I'm sorry if I insulted you. I was wrong. Sokka replied, before looking away, with Suki crossing her arms as she looked down at him. We normally don't teach outsiders, let alone boys. Stated Suki. Please make an exception. I won't let you down. Sokka pleaded, wanting to learn how to be a better warrior and learn to fight like the Kyoshi warriors did. Suki looked at him for a few moments, before losing her hostility and smiling. All right. But you have to follow all of our traditions. Said Suki, with Sokka lifting his head surprised, and feeling thankful, when she agreed to teach him. Of course. Sokka replied. And I mean all of them, said Suki as her smile turned into a smirk. Later. After a while, Sokka now stood in the dojo wearing the same green battle kimono and makeup as the Kyoshi warriors. Do I really have to wear this? It feels a little girly, Sokka said in resignation and defeat. It's a warrior's uniform, you should be proud. The silk threads symbolize the brave blood that flows through our veins. The gold insignia represents the honor of the warrior's heart, Suki said, with Sokka looking at the uniform, feeling a little more comfortable in wearing it after hearing what it represented. Bravery and honor, Sokka said proudly, before freezing when he heard two familiar sets of giggling, the boy being horrified when he saw Katara and Korra standing by the door. Hey Sokka, nice dress, Katara said, trying to suppress her smile and laughter, but failing, while Korra was happily laughed at what her brother was wearing. The color it really brings out your eyes, laughed Korra. It's not like that. It represents bravery and honor, shouted Sokka, more embarrassment than he ever has been before. Yeah, sure, whatever you say. Do you want us to pick up a few copies for you from the village? I'm sure we have the same size, said Katara, now unable to suppress her laughter, before the sisters walked away as Sokka slumped down in defeat. Spirits, please kill me now, begged Sokka, knowing he'll never be able to live this down, as Suki giggled and patted his shoulder comfortingly. Meanwhile, Korra and Katara headed down to the beach to get some waterbending training done, figuring they should focus on what Korra is able to do at the moment, rather than what she can't. Though during their training, the sisters heard something moving in the water, with their eyes widening when they looked to see what it was. Only to see a gigantic serpent-looking creature rising out of the water, before diving back in. Ooh, Katara, did you just see a giant eel-looking creature come out of the water? Korra asked, looking at where the creature was with wide eyes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, replied Katara, while nodding slowly. Okay, just checking, said Korra, before the two slowly backed away from the water, not wanting to see just how close the creature could get to the island, before resuming their training with Naruto. Meanwhile, Naruto was working on performing the summoning jutsu, having learned about it from his parents. Normally, only a person who already had a summoning contract could summon anything. But his father had said that it's also possible for a person to reverse summon themselves to the summon realm of the animal that they connect the closest with. Something his own teacher, Jiraiya, had done to get the Toad contract. With Naruto now wanting to see about getting his own summons. The boy biting his thumb, before going through hand signs. Summoning jutsu, Naruto said, slamming his hand on the ground, readying himself to suddenly vanish and appear somewhere else. Only to be surprised, when rather than vanishing, a puff of smoke appeared in front of him, revealing a large scroll on the ground. What just happened? Naruto mentally asked his parents. It's possible that being in this new world has made it so you're out of range to be reverse summoned to a summoning realm, given they are still technically part of the elemental nations. So, rather than you being sent there, you've instead summoned the scroll of the summons you're most connected with. Minato guessed, since this was still entirely new to him. Well, come on. Let's see what you'll be able to summon, said Kushina, excited to see what her son will get as his summons. Nodding, Naruto grabbed the scroll to see the kanji on front, telling him what summoning contract it was, along with the picture of a lizard-like creature. Komodo dragons, said Naruto, surprised to see just what animals he'll get the chance to form a contract with. Haha. In your face, my baby gets to summon Komodo dragons, and all you got were toads. Kushina said with a laugh, pleased that Naruto was able to get a better contract than the toads. The toads were great summons. Said Minato in defense of his summons, though silently admitting that Komodo dragons did seem cooler and more useful in battle. Shaking off his surprise, Naruto opened the scroll, before biting his thumb again and signing his name in one of the blank sections. Once that was done, Naruto sealed the scroll away for safekeeping, before beginning to work on practicing the summoning jutsu. Later. After some time, Korra and Katara took a break from their waterbending training, taking a moment to relax for a little. Realizing just how little free time they've had since leaving the South Pole, along with how much has changed in such a short amount of time. Unfortunately, their moment of peace was interrupted when they saw smoke in sky, before seeing a familiar Fire Nation ship docking only a short distance away. Zuko and Azula. Katara said, shocked that they had actually managed to follow them all the way here from the South Pole. Come on. We gotta get back and warn the others. Said Korra, with Katara nodding in agreement as they got up and ran back to the town, to tell the others. Reaching the village, they saw Naruto and Oyagi nearby and quickly ran up to them. Katara, Korra, what's wrong? Naruto asked, upon seeing their expressions. Zuko and Azula, they're here. Said Korra, with Naruto's eyes widening at this, before looking at Oyagi. Oyagi, can you get Sokka and the Kyoshi warriors, and then start evacuating the village? Things are about to get very dangerous. Naruto said, with Oyagi nodding, before going to tell the Kyoshi warriors so they can prepare, along with telling the villagers to start evacuating the town. Thankfully, it didn't take long before Sokka and the Kyoshi warriors arrived, with the town now being empty, with everyone having evacuated. With Zuko, Azula, Ty Lee, and Mai soon arriving after them, along with some soldiers, all of them riding Komodo rhinos. Naruto. Zuko said, while scowling. Hey guys. Would you be willing to leave if I surrendered? Naruto asked, raising his hands. We'll only be leaving once we have you in chains and unconscious. Said Azula, refusing to let herself have another moment of weakness and release Naruto again, planning to knock him out this time, while Naruto shrugged. Worth a shot. Cover your eyes. Said Naruto to the others, before pulling out several flashbangs and threw them in front of the Komodo rhinos, as he and his friends covered their eyes just as they went off, with the Komodo rhinos freaking out over the sudden flashes, forcing their riders to jump off before they're thrown off. Azula scowled and rubbed her eyes, before seeing Naruto jumping onto the rooftops, with the princess shooting jets of flames from her hands and feet, launching herself at the whiskered blonde. With Naruto seeing Azula diving down towards him with a flaming axe kick, which he rolled out of the way from, as it smashed through the roof. You never did waste time, did you, Azula? Always going right to the fun part. Said Naruto, smirking, while ducking under a jet of flames that she launched at him. I never heard you complaining. Azula replied, smirking, before kicking her leg up and releasing an arc of flames, with Naruto substituting himself with a log and reappearing behind Azula. The Jinchuriki throwing several shuriken at the princess, with wire attached to them, that wrapped around Azula, restraining her. We don't have to fight, you know. This island is pretty nice, how about we find a nice, quiet place to talk, just the two of us? Said Naruto smiling, as Azula seemed to think it over. I do miss spending time with my cute little fox," Azula said, before burning the wires to ash and kicking Naruto in the chest, that launched him back, before she shot a blast of flames at him. "But I miss knocking around my personal training dummy, even more," added Azula, smirking, only to frown when Naruto vanished in a puff of smoke, before crying out when the real Naruto delivered a diving kick to her back, knocking her down, before pinning her. "Last I checked, you were the one that got knocked around," Naruto taunted, with Azula scowling, before smirking coyly at Naruto. "If you wanted me on my back, you just needed to ask," said Azula, before breathing fire to propel herself up, knocking Naruto off her, before the Fire Princess reversed their positions with her now on top. "Too bad I'm always the one on top," Azula stated, leaning down close to Naruto. "Okay, but don't complain if things get rough," replied Naruto, before proceeding to headbutt Azula, knocking her off of him. "For the love of Agni, would you two stop flirting and just fight each other?" Zuko shouted, before swinging his arm to unleash a blast of fire at Katara and Korra, annoyed that his sister and old friend were flirting now, of all times. The twins created a shield of water blocking the flames, before quickly bending the resulting steam back into water, which they launched towards Zuko. With the prince shooting fire from his fists, launching himself into the air avoiding the water, before falling straight towards the waterbenders with a flame-covered fist. Zuko shouting as he slammed his fist into the ground, unleashing a blast of fire, with Korra and Katara quickly jumping back to avoid the flames. Before the two took the chance and bent the surrounding snow under Zuko into a water column, that sent him flying into the air. Before proceeding to smack him aside with a blast of water, sending him flying into a building. Only for a blast of flames to erupt from the building, as Zuko emerged, steam rising off his body and two fire daggers in his hands. Before the prince rushed towards the waterbenders to fight up close and personal, rather than at a distance. With Korra and Katara reading themselves. Meanwhile, Sokka and the Kyoshi warriors were going against Ty Lee and Mai, which was proving difficult with Ty Lee's flexibility and chi blocking allowing her to avoid their attacks, before getting in close to incapacitate them. While Mai kept her distance and used her throwing knives to either pin them to the buildings, or knock their fans out of their hands, which would leave them open for Ty Lee to move in and chi block them. While everyone was fighting on the ground, Momo flew up in the sky, looking down at the fighting, hoping his companion and his friends will be alright. Though the lemur was forced to fly down, when he heard a screech as a hawk tried swooping down and grabbing him. Chirping angrily at the hawk, Momo narrowed his eyes when he saw the Fire Nation insignia on the hawk's harness, realizing it must be with the ones attacking his companions. Momo chirped again, before flying towards the hawk and jumping on its back, with the hawk screeching in anger and trying to shake the lemur off. Only for Momo to hold on tightly, but had some trouble when the hawk went into a spinning dive bomb to get him off its back. Eventually succeeding, with Momo unfurling his wings to catch himself, before the two animal companions glared at each other. Before charging towards each other, chirping and screeching, respectively. The fighting continued several moments, before Naruto looked around, frowning as he saw the village had begun catching fire and if this didn't end soon, the entire town would be burnt to ash. We have to get out of here, Naruto thought, not wanting the villagers here to lose their homes, just because the Fire Nation was chasing him and, unknowingly, Korra. With that in mind, Naruto ducked under Azula's flaming fist, before grabbing her hand. Sorry to cut this short, but we have to get going. Until next time, Azula. said Naruto, kissing her hand, before proceeding to throw Azula into Zuko, knocking the two down, while Naruto jumped down beside Korra and Katara. We need to go now, they're after us. So if we leave, then Island will be safe. Naruto said, with the twins nodding in agreement, after seeing the damage already being done to the town. Sokka. We're leaving, come on, said Katara, getting her brother's attention. What? We can't just abandon everyone. Sokka argued, not wanting to leave the villagers and Kyoshi warriors alone to deal with the firebenders. They're after us. They'll be safe once we leave, Korra said. Your sisters are right, Sokka, you all need to leave now. We can deal with these guys to allow you the chance to escape, said Tsuki. But, said Sokka, wanting to argue, only to be cut off when Tsuki kissed him on the cheek. Go, we'll be fine, Tsuki said, smiling, as Sokka looked at her in surprise before sighing and nodding as he joined the others. Naruto whistled, getting Momo's attention, as he flew back down and landed on his shoulder. You guys get to Appa, I'll deal with the fire, said Naruto, before biting his thumb. How exactly? Sokka asked, raising a brow as Naruto went through hand signs. With something big. Summoning jutsu, Naruto shouted, slamming his hand on the ground using as much chakra as he could, resulting in a gigantic cloud of smoke, getting everyone's attention. Before revealing, much to their shock, Naruto standing on top of a massive jet-black Komodo dragon, with white streaks running across its hide, and golden-orange eyes with slit pupils. This being the boss summon of the Komodo dragon clan. The boss flicked its tongue out and looked around. The air here, it feels strange. I don't sense any chakra here, except from you, boy, said the boss, as Naruto jumped onto its nose. Yeah, hi there, sir. Look, I'm really sorry for summoning you like this, and I'm sure you have some test for me to complete, in order to prove I'm worthy of summoning you and your clan members. But could we hold off on that, as I need you to put out those fires, please? Naruto said quickly, with the boss glancing at the burning village before back at his summoner. Very well, the boss said, deciding to humor Naruto's request, since this was certainly an interesting summoning for him. Water style. Wild water wave, shouted the boss, opening his mouth and unleashing a large blast of water over the village, dousing the flames, along with leaving Azula, Zuko, Ty Lee, Mai, and the soldiers completely soaked. Thank you, Naruto said, with the boss nodding, before dispelling himself, with Naruto joining the others on Appa, before flying away from the island. I'm going to get him back for this. I swear to every spirit there is, I will get Naruto back for this, Azula said in a dry tone, while Ty Lee wringed out her braid and Mai looked on blankly, while spitting out water. I'm starting to see why father covets Naruto's abilities, more than finding the avatar, muttered Zuko, amazed at what he had just seen and now seeing why his father wanted Naruto captured so much, if he's capable of summoning a creature that large and powerful, with the prince being completely sure it had enough power to take out an entire army. Meanwhile on Appa, Sokka was looking at Naruto in shock and amazement. Are you kidding me? You were able to summon a freaking Komodo dragon, that's larger than a building. How? Sokka asked. I have a better question, why were you flirting with Azula? Demanded Katara, while looking at him with narrowed eyes. Yeah, given you know, she's the enemy and hunting us down to capture you, Korra said with narrowed eyes as well, with Naruto sheepishly scratching the back of his head. I'm not exactly over Azula, and still have feelings for her. Admitted Naruto, knowing it likely wasn't a good idea to have feelings for someone hunting him down, but he couldn't help it, since he couldn't just forget all the times they had together. His answer did nothing to lessen Korra and Katara's annoyance. If anything, it only made them more annoyed. Let's just get to the stupid North Pole, muttered Korra, before looking ahead to focus on flying bison, while Katara crossed her arms and looked out over the edge of the bison. Fire Nation colony. Meanwhile, at a nearby Fire Nation colony, Commander Zhao was stationed to overlook the development of the territory, when a messenger ran up to him. Commander Zhao, we've just gotten word from ships near the island of Kyoshi. They report that a massive Komodo dragon seemingly appeared out of thin air, with a blonde boy standing on its head, said the messenger, with Zhao's head snapping towards him. Blonde boy? Questioned Zhao, knowing of only one boy that had blonde hair, and he's currently at the top of the Fire Nation's most wanted list, right next to the Avatar. Yes, Commander. The boy was last seen flying away on a flying bison, accompanied by 3 Water Tribe teenagers, said the messenger. Gather my best soldiers, we're going hunting. Zhao ordered with a smirk, eager for the chance to capture Naruto and his allies, to get in the good graces of the Fire Lord, even more so, with his upcoming conquest of the Northern Water Tribe. Chapter 6. I own nothing. 3 days have passed since the crew left Kyoshi Island after their encounter with Zuko and Azula, along with Naruto gaining the Komodo dragon summoning contract. With Naruto having summoned the boss again, after they had found a safe place to land. Flashback. Summoning jutsu, said Naruto, before slamming his hand on the ground, before the Komodo dragon boss reappeared in a puff of smoke. Though to the surprise of the group, he was no longer gigantic in size and was instead only a little bigger than Naga. Hey, what gives? I thought you were the larger than a building before, Sokka asked, while frowning in confusion. I have the ability to alter my size human. I believed it would be better to be summoned like this than my true form. Unless you would prefer for everyone in the immediate area to see such a large creature appear out of nowhere, said the boss. No, that's fine. This size is perfect, Korra replied quickly, with her siblings and Naruto nodding in agreement, since they didn't want to draw any more attention than they likely already have, after the whiskered blonde summoned him on Kyoshi Island. HMPH. Now I suppose you summoned me to gain my approval to summon myself and the members of my clan, the boss questioned, looking at Naruto, who nodded in confirmation. That's right. My name's Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto introduced. Very well, Naruto Uzumaki. I am Ryodoku, leader of the Komodo dragons. As for my test, you must survive being injected with my venom. If you survive, you will be officially recognized as our summoner. If not, well, I'm sure it's obvious what will happen, said Ryodoku, with the siblings looking shocked at this, while Naruto didn't look the least bit surprised, having heard from his parents that most summoning contracts give difficult tests to see if whoever signs their contracts are worthy. Though before Naruto could respond, he was pulled aside by Katara. Naruto, you can't actually be considering trying that, right? What if you end up dying? Katara whispered, worried that if Naruto performed the test, he'd die. Yeah, and do you even really need to be able to summon Komodo dragons? While they might be useful, I don't think they're worth the risk of dying. Added Korra, with Sokka nodding in agreement with his sisters, since while it'd be useful to have Naruto summon Komodo dragons, it probably wasn't worth the risk of dying either. Guys, I'll be fine, trust me. Assured Naruto, while looking at his friends, who appeared unconvinced before they eventually nodded reluctantly, while Naruto looked back at Ryodoku. I'll do it. Naruto said, the boss summon nodding, before walking up to Naruto. Hold out your arm. Ryodoku instructed, with the Jinchuriki doing so. Opening his mouth, Ryodoku's fangs came out before biting down on Naruto's right forearm, with the boy grunting in pain. With the Komodo dragon released Naruto before stepping back, watching to see if he'll survive the venom or not, while the siblings looked on in worry. For a few moments Naruto grunted and winced, feeling the venom move through his body, as he started feeling lightheaded and close to passing out, but forced himself to stay standing. Until the pain eventually began fading away, while the bite mark closed up and turned into a summoning tattoo. Congratulations, you have passed the test and are now officially recognized as our summoner. I grant you permission to summon myself, and the members of my clan. In addition to that, my venom has made it, so you are now immune to most poisons and other venomous creatures. Until we meet again, Naruto Uzumaki. Said Ryodoku, before vanishing in a puff of smoke. End flashback. After that, they had continued making their way through the Earth Kingdom, with Katara and Korra practicing their waterbending, along with Korra working on trying to improve her airbending. Currently though, the group was resting in the forest having dinner. Naruto, before, when we left the Southern Air Temple, you said you've met a couple Earthbending masters before. Who are they? Katara asked, curious of these bending masters that Naruto's met. While Sokka and Korra also looked at him, with interest in hearing this. Especially the latter, since one of them could potentially be her future Earthbending teacher. Yeah, I have. As for who they are, the first is King Bumi of Omashu and the second is the reigning champion of the underground Earthbending tournaments, Toph Baifeng. Both of them are very powerful Earthbenders, with Bumi being able to fight people much younger, despite being an old man, though he can also be pretty crazy and unpredictable. While Toph, I think she's probably the greatest Earthbender I've seen, since I've never seen one fight like her. Though that also makes her pretty stubborn, blunt, and unyielding, along with having a habit of getting under people's skins when fighting. But she's still a really great friend, when you get to know her. Naruto replied, shocking the siblings that he's met a king and a champion of Earthbending tournaments. Though Korra and Katara became slightly annoyed, after hearing Naruto talked about Toph and the fact she's a girl. With it being obviously that they are close friends, from the way that he is talking about her. But neither of the sisters could figure out why they were annoyed, since it made sense on why they were annoyed about Azula, given she's an enemy. Though they weren't sure on why they were annoyed at the fact that Naruto's close to Toph. While Sokka was annoyed at hearing about Naruto knowing another girl, that's probably interested him, again. Since he's already close to the Fire Nation princess, probably her two friends as well, and the upcoming warrior had a suspicion that even his sisters were now interested in him. Lucky blonde bastard, he better stay away from Katara and Korra. Sokka thought, while grumbling to himself, jealous at the fact that Naruto's close with several girls, along with not wanting his sisters to get too close to him. Okay, that's great, 2 Earthbending Masters. But how exactly did you meet the King of Omashu? Asked Sokka, wanting to change the subject, with the twins also curious of how Naruto met a king. I helped Bumi deal with an assassination attempt on his life, by the Fire Nation. Given Omashu and Ba Sing Se are the only 2 Earth Kingdom strongholds left, they're trying to capture what they see as the easier target, being Omashu, before trying to take Ba Sing Se. Said Naruto. Okay, so who would work as an earthbending instructor? Katara asked. I'd say Toph would be the best option. Given I doubt Bumi would be able to just leave Omashu to travel with us to the North Pole, nor to find any air nomad descendants, since he has his responsibilities as king. While I'm sure that Toph would love the chance to travel with us. Replied Naruto, knowing the last time he saw Toph, she hated how her parents kept treating her like a fragile glass doll, and would prefer getting the chance to travel, fight, and earthbend freely, without anyone to stop her. And is there another reason you want Toph to travel with us? Korra demanded, surprising everyone, even herself, at the snark in her tone. Are you two alright? Asked Naruto, looking between Korra and Katara in worry, while taking notice of their annoyed expressions. Perfectly fine. Korra said casually, like she didn't just snap at him. Yeah, we're just fine. Why wouldn't we be? Katara asked just as casually, with Naruto looking between the two for a few moments, before realization dawned on him. Oh, Naruto thought, now understanding why they always seemed annoyed, when he talked about Azula and how he interacted with her on Kyoshi Island, along with how he's now talking about Toph. While Naruto would admit both Korra and Katara are very pretty, he didn't think the two would actually start to have crushes on him. Being able to recognize the signs after talking to his parents, along with past interactions with girls, including his relationship with Azula. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's my baby. Azula, Ty Lee, Toph, maybe Mai, and now both Korra and Katara as well. Just a few more years, and you can start making me grandbabies to spoil. I'm so proud of my Naru-chan. Kushina squealed, excited and happy at all the girls her son has attracted to him, meaning she'll have all the more grandchildren to spoil, with Naruto blushing in embarrassment at his mother's words, while Minato just chuckled. It's not really that surprising, since both your mother and I had plenty of admirers. And given you're our son, you inherited both of our features, not to mention your overall personality has the right charm and charisma to attract girls. Minato added. But I still like Azula. And yeah, Ty Lee, Toph, Katara, and Korra are all really pretty, but I don't want to hurt any of them by choosing one over the other. Naruto thought, refusing to hurt any of his friends like that. Then it's a good thing polygamy is legal back in the elemental nations. And while the same can't be said here, in the 4 nations, I don't think any of them will give you a choice in only choosing one them. As for Korra and Katara, just let them figure out their feelings first, before you approach them. Said Kushina, after taking a moment to calm herself, while Naruto nodded in agreement since he also needed to figure out his own feelings for the girls as well. Since Naruto won't deny, he did get along pretty well with Toph when they first met, since neither of them really enjoyed all the prim and properness of nobility, and both were pretty blunt as well. While also being aware that Ty Lee has feelings for him as well, given how affectionate she tends to act towards him. The only reason why she never acted on those feelings, was because of his relationship with Azula. So, hopefully Naruto will be able to figure things out with them and Azula, when he gets the chance to. Though suddenly, the crew felt the ground shaking, surprising them at the sudden quaking. What was that? Sokka asked, wondering what the shaking was, with the group jumping when the ground began shaking again. It's coming from over there, said Korra, as she, Katara, and Naruto got up to investigate sounds and shaking. Shouldn't we run away from huge booming sounds? Not toward them, Sokka questioned, before getting up and following them, with Momo and Naga joining them to investigate. The group soon arrived at a small ravine, where they hid behind a fallen tree, surprised when they found a young boy around their age bending boulders, before throwing into the side of the ravine. An earthbender, Katara said in surprise, not expecting them to run into an earthbender like this. A pretty good one too, Naruto stated, seeing how easily the kid was bending the large boulders and throwing them into the ravine walls. Let's go meet him, said Korra, wondering if she'd get the chance to get a head start on her earthbending training. He looks dangerous, so we better approach cautiously, Sokka warned, not wanting them to approach a complete stranger, especially one who could throw giant boulders at them. Hello there. I'm Katara and this is my sister, Korra. What's your name? Katara asked, as she and Korra suddenly appeared a few feet in front of Naruto and Sokka, shocking the two boys at how they seemingly teleported. The boy gasped in surprise at their sudden appearance, looking at them with wide eyes before quickly fleeing, bringing down an avalanche of rocks, blocking his escape path, preventing them following him. That was strange, said Naruto, as he and Sokka walked up to the girls, confused as to why the kid ran away. I just wanted to say hi, Katara said, unsure as to why the boy ran away from them. Hey, that guy's gotta be running somewhere. Maybe we're near a village, suggested Korra, with the other nodding in agreement, before making their way to follow where the boy went. It didn't take long until the group arrived at what looked like a mining town, one that they saw was under the control of the Fire Nation. Seeing this, Naruto quickly made a hand sign before he was engulfed in a cloud of smoke, the three looking at him in confusion at his action. When the smoke cleared, they were surprised to see that Naruto now had shoulder-length straight black hair, pale skin, neon green eyes, and no whisker marks, while still having his regular attire of black boots, black pants, a dark purple shirt, and black fingerless gloves. I'd rather not risk any Fire Nation soldiers recognizing me, and getting all of us captured, Naruto said to them, with the siblings nodding in understanding, before they entered the town to try and find the kid. Looking around town, the group couldn't help but frown at how downcast everyone seemed, before Katara spotted the kid they were looking for entering a shop. Hey, there he is, Katara said to the others, as they went up to the shop and entered it. Hi, Mom, said the kid to the woman behind the counter. Where have you been, Haru? You're late. Get started on your chores, the woman said, having been worried if Haru had been, worried someone might have discovered his bending. Hey, you're that kid. Why did you run away, before? Katara asked, getting their attention, while the kid gulped a little at seeing them. Ah, you must have me confused with some other kid, said Haru. No, she doesn't. We saw you earthbending, Naruto stated, with Haru and his mother gasping in horror at his secret being exposed, before the woman quickly shut the door and the windows, before anyone could hear them. They saw you doing what? Demanded Haru's mother, angry and terrified that her son had been reckless enough to be using his bending. They're crazy, Mom. I mean, look at how they're dressed, Haru retorted, motioning to the group, who looked themselves over, feeling a little annoyed at the jab to their attire. You know how dangerous that is. You know what would happen if they caught you earthbending, said the woman, not wanting Haru to be taken away if he was caught, before paling at the heavy knocking on the door. Open up. Sokka looked out the window and saw 3 Fire Nation soldiers at the door. Fire Nation. Act natural, Sokka said, just as Haru's mother opened the door with the lead soldier walking in, eyeing the children sourly as they acted like they were looking around the shop. What do you want? I've already paid you this week, Haru's mother shouted, angry at these men for basically robbing her store, on top of taking her husband away. The tax just doubled. And we wouldn't want an accident, now would we? Said the soldier in an arrogant tone, before creating a ball of fire, making everyone step away, while Naruto mentally scowled, wanting to knock the bastard around for extorting these people. Fire is sometimes so hard to control, the soldier said. Knowing she didn't have a choice, the woman reluctantly pulled out her store's cash box and handed over the meager amount of money within. You can keep the copper ones, said the soldier, dropping 4 copper pieces on the ground before exiting the shop, slamming the door shut behind him. Nice guy. How long has the Fire Nation been here? Sokka asked, while frowning at the door. 5 years. Fire Lord Ozai uses our town's coal mines to fuel his ships, said Haru's mother as she picked up the currency the soldier dropped. They're thugs. They steal from us. And everyone here's too much of a coward to do anything about it, Haru stated angrily. Quiet, Haru. Don't talk like that, snapped the woman, not wanting anyone to overhear him, or worse, for the soldiers to come back. But Haru's an earthbender. He can help, Katara said, confused as to why they couldn't fight back against the soldiers, if Haru could earthbend. Earthbending is forbidden. It's caused nothing but misery for this village. He must never use his abilities, said the woman, giving her son a meaningful glance, hoping now that he would see how dangerous it was to practice his bending. How can you say that? Haru has a gift. Asking him not to earthbend is like asking me or my sister not to waterbend. It's a part of who we are, Korra argued, not liking the idea of anyone having to hide their bending. You don't understand, said the woman, while shaking her head. I understand that Haru can help you fight back. What can the Fire Nation do to you that they haven't done already? Katara said, before looking at Naruto when put a hand on her shoulder, and shook his head. They can do a lot more and a lot worse, said Naruto, knowing firsthand what kind of punishments Fire Nation soldiers give to people who break their laws. He's right, they could take Haru away, like they took his father, said the woman, looking down, with Katara gasping while the others were shocked to hear this, before looking at Haru, who simply looked angry and saddened, remembering what happened to his father. Later, after leaving the shop, Haru and his mother took the crew to their home, with Haru taking him out to the barn. My mom said you can sleep here tonight, but you should leave in the morning, Haru said, knowing it wouldn't be safe for them to stay long. Thanks. I'll make sure Appa doesn't eat all your hay, said Korra smiling, while Appa looked at Korra with a mouthful of hay, pausing in his chewing, before the sky bison resumed eating. After getting settled, Naruto and Katara went with Haru for a walk around the farm. I'm sorry about what I said earlier. I didn't know about your father, said Katara, feeling bad at likely bringing up painful memories. That's okay. It's funny, the way you were talking back in the store. It reminded me of him, said Haru, remembering how his father always talked about fighting back, rather than just submitting to the Fire Nation. He sounds like a brave man, Naruto said, with Haru nodding in agreement. My father was very courageous. When the Fire Nation invaded, he and the other Earthbenders were outnumbered 10-1. But they fought back anyway, replied Haru, amazing the two that they were that outnumbered, yet still chose to fight back. He goes sound like a great man, said Katara, being reminded of her own father and the other Southern tribe warriors, always fighting back against the Fire Nation whenever they showed up, no matter the odds. After the attack, they rounded up my father and every other Earthbender, and took them away. We haven't seen them since, Haru said as they reached a steep cliff. So that's why you hide your earthbending, stated Katara, seeing why he was hiding his bending and practiced in secret. Yeah. Problem is, the only way I can feel close to my father now, is when I practice my bending. He taught me everything I know, Haru replied, bending 2 small stones before crushing them into sand, as Naruto and Katara sat beside him. See this necklace? My mother gave it to me, said Katara, pointing to her necklace, which she's never taken off since her mother gave it to her. It's beautiful, Haru said, seeing a lot of detail was put into making it. I lost my mother in a Fire Nation raid. This necklace is all I have left of her, Katara said sadly. It's not enough, is it? Asked Haru rhetorically. No, Katara answered, lowering her head, before looking when Naruto put a hand on her shoulder and smiled at her. You'll always have your memories of both your mother and your father. As long as you have those, they'll never really be gone. They'll always be with you in here and here, said Naruto, tapping Katara's head and her chest, over her heart, with Katara and Haru looking at him in surprise before smiling and nodding, knowing they'd always remember their lost family members. The three continued walking down a dirt trail, only to suddenly stop, when they reached one of the mines and heard an explosion. Help, help! Shouted an old man, as Haru's eyes widened before running off to where the cry came from. The mine, Haru said, with Naruto and Katara following him, finding an old man pinning under a pile of rocks with more about to collapse on top of him. Help me! Cried the old man, as Naruto and Haru rushed forward to try and keep the entrance from collapsing on him, while Katara tried pulling him free. Ugh! It's not working. We have to get help, Katara said, seeing the old man couldn't be pulled free. There's no time, pull harder, Haru said, straining against the weight of the rocks. Haru, there's a way you can help him, said Katara, getting an idea, with Haru shaking his head fearfully at being caught. I can't, Haru said, knowing he'll be captured if he used his bending. Please, there's no one around to see you. It's the only way, pleaded Katara, with Haru gritting his teeth before looking at the trapped old man, before nodding. Haru leapt away from the falling debris, spinning back to face it as he assumed an earthbending form. With a sudden and strong move, he blasted all the rocks down the tunnel, freeing the old man. Haru, you did it, Katara said smiling, glad she was able to show Haru that his bending could do good, before they helped the old man away from the tunnel. Though as they left, Naruto couldn't help but narrow his eyes as he looked back at the tunnel, wondering just why the old man was here all alone. Later, it was so brave of Haru to use his earthbending to help that old man, Katara said, as the crew laid in the barn with it now being nighttime after she, Naruto, and Haru got back. You must have really inspired him, said Korra, while smiling at her twin sister. I guess so, replied Katara. Everyone should get some sleep. We're leaving at dawn, Sokka stated, knowing it'd be best if they left as soon as they could. Dawn. Can't we sleep in for once? Katara asked, not used to getting up so early. Absolutely not. This village is crawling with Fire Nation troops. If they discover that Naruto is here, not to mention if they find out you're the Avatar, Korra, we'll be eating fireballs for breakfast. Good night, Sokka said before laying down. I'd rather eat fireballs than nuts, Naruto said, smirking, as the sisters laughed as they remembered when Sokka tried going hunting, only to come back with a bunch of nuts and rocks he thought were nuts. Good night, said Sokka with a tone of finality, with the others smirking before soon going to sleep as well. Next morning. The next morning, the crew woke up and began packing up their supplies, while Katara went to get some water from the well. Only to suddenly look up, when Katara burst into the barn. They took him. They took Haru away, Katara shouted, as their eyes widened at what she was saying. What? Korra asked in surprise. The old man turned him over to the Fire Nation. It's all my fault, I forced him to earthbend, Katara said, not believing what she's done, having only wanted to get Haru to see his bending shouldn't be hidden, while Naruto scowled at hearing this. That old bastard, Naruto thought, having suspected that it seemed too convenient for them to just happen on an old man trapped, while the only way he could be freed was with the help of an earthbender. Slow down, Katara. When did this happen? Sokka said, while putting a comforting hand on her shoulder. Haru's mother said they came for him at midnight, said Katara, feeling terrible that because of her, a mother lost not just her husband, but now her son as well. Then it's too late to track him, he's long gone, said Sokka, knowing they could have taken Haru anywhere by now. We don't need to track him. The Fire Nation is going to take me right to Haru, Katara said, clenching her fists, refusing to let Haru just be captured. And, why would they do that? Korra asked warily. Because they're going to arrest me for earthbending, revealed Katara, much to her siblings' shock and horror. How about we think of an actual plan, first? But before we do, I have a problem that I need to deal with, Naruto said darkly as he exited the barn, planning to make that old bastard pay for ratting Haru out. Going to the very cave he, Katara, and Haru found him at, Naruto scowled as he saw that the old man was back. Before he could react, Naruto grabbed him by the collar and slammed him against the cave wall. Ah! What's your problem, ya crazy brat? The old man demanded, before gulping when he recognized Naruto. My problem. How about yours? Why did you sell out Haru to the Fire Nation? He saved your life, and this is how you repay him. By having a son taken away from his mother. Naruto shouted, glaring at the old man, his anger rising when he actually shrugged uncaringly. So what? I don't care what happened to some kid, only about the gold I got from the Fire Nation for reporting another earthbender, said the old man, with no empathy for his actions. What? Growled Naruto, his eyes flashing red at hearing that the bastard was actually paid, with this apparently not being the first time either. That's right. You think that cave-in was an accident, I caused it, just like I did every other time. And every time an earthbender shows up to help the poor old man, and I report them to the Fire Nation, who pay me a nice sum of gold. Doesn't matter if they're natives or just passing through, if they're an earthbender, I get paid. The old man revealed, while sporting a greedy, malicious smirk. Only for his smirk to be wiped off his face, when he cried out in pain, as Naruto slammed his fist into the bastard's jaw. Before bringing his head right down onto his knee, followed by slamming him into the ground and began punching him repeatedly. Normally, Naruto wouldn't attack a defenseless elderly person like this, but after hearing what this bastard did to so many earthbenders, uncaring of the fate he was sentencing them to, or the friends and families who are worried about them, Naruto wouldn't deny he's enjoying this far more than he should. After reducing the bastard to a beaten and bloody mess, Naruto threw him right into the cave's entrance, before throwing a kunai with an explosive tag attached it, into the roof of the cave. With the tag detonating, leaving the old man trapped in the same position he, Katara, and Haru found him in. Naruto then let Kushina take control, with the Uzumaki woman going through hand signs before placing him on the ground, forming a barrier around the old man. The barrier making it so no one would hear him crying for help and subconsciously keep them away from the area. Given Kushina is a mother herself, she had zero sympathy for leaving this bastard trapped and suffering, after what he did. With the woman giving control back to Naruto, as he glared at the old man. Consider this your punishment, you get to wither away and die, alone and scared, just like all the earthbenders you reported. I hope the gold was worth it. Naruto said, before turning to leave. Wait. Please don't leave me here. The old man begged, not wanting to be trapped for real this time, and left to die. How many earthbenders begged not to be taken away from their friends and families? Retorted Naruto, as he kept walking. Please, I'll do anything. Pleaded the old man, with Naruto pausing as he seemed to think this over. Alright, I'll let you go. If you tell me the location of your house and all the gold you were paid. Naruto said, with the old man nodding rapidly in response. Alright. My house is just 2 miles that way. The gold is hidden under the floorboards, under my bed. Why, you'll let me go now, right? The old man said, hopefully, with Naruto sensing that he wasn't lying about where his home and gold was. Yeah, I'll let you go. Replied Naruto, much to the old man's relief. Only to be shocked, when Naruto kept walking away. Wait. Why, you said you'd let me go, if I told you. The old man said desperately, with Naruto nodding in confirmation. I am letting you go. I'm letting you go on a one-way trip to the spirit world. Naruto replied as he left, with the old man looking at him in shock, before glaring angrily at Naruto. No. You can't do this. Get back here, you damn brat. Get back here and free me. You're gonna pay for this, you hear me, you'll pay. Shouted the old man, before paling as he realizing Naruto really was leaving him trapped. Wait please. I didn't mean it, please come back and free me. I swear that I'll change, I won't trick any more earthbenders, just please don't leave me. The old man begged, only to see that Naruto was already gone. Help. Help me, please, anyone. Please, I'm stuck. Help me. Please. Cried the old man, hoping for someone, anyone to hear him and get him out, only for no one to come. With the old man breaking down and began crying, as he was left to die. Later. Naruto had eventually returned to the barn, while bouncing the scroll containing all the gold old man collected, with it being a good amount, showing just how many earthbenders he's turned in. Which made Naruto wish he spent more time beating the hell out of him. While Korra, Katara, and Sokka were disgusted when they heard what the old man had done, not just to Haru, but other earthbenders as well. I can't believe it. After Haru risked himself to help, I can't believe he'd do that. Katara exclaimed in anger that the old man would turn in who knows how many earthbenders, after they willingly saved him, just to make some money. I understand that you're angry, Katara, but he already got what he's deserved, said Sokka, all of them glad at the karma that Naruto gave the old man, with Korra nodding in agreement. Okay, so what's the plan for finding Haru and the other earthbenders? Korra asked, not wanting to go with Katara's plan of getting herself arrested by earthbending. Simple, we capture a team of soldiers and force them to tell us where they're keeping the earthbenders, go there and then free them, answered Naruto. And how are you going to make them talk? Katara asked. Wouldn't you talk, when you have a Komodo dragon ready to bite you? Said Naruto, making the siblings gulp, before they left to go capture some soldiers. Later, Naruto looked at the 3 bound soldiers they managed to knock out and capture, while one of his summons stood beside him, with this one having a dark gray hide and solid black eyes. It wasn't long until the soldiers began waking up, only to pale at the sight of the Komodo dragon in front of them. Good, you're all awake. Now I'm only going to ask this once, where do you take the captured earthbenders? Naruto asked, with the soldiers regaining some bravado, as they glared at him. Burn in the fires of Agni, the soldier said, only to cry out when the Komodo dragon lunged forward and bit into his shoulder, injecting him with venom. The remaining 2 soldiers paled in horror, as they saw the venom make short work of the guard, as he began spasming with blood leaking from his eyes, nose, ears, and mouth, before eventually going still, with the remaining 2 guards flinching when the Komodo dragon snapped at them. The earthbenders, now, demanded Naruto. They're on a rig a few miles out at sea, they're taken there, since it's made entirely of metal and they can't bend it, said the guard, with the other nodding in agreement, looking at the Komodo dragon fearfully. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the guards for a few moments, before nodding, seeing that they were telling the truth. Thank you, now was that so hard? But we still can't let you go and alert your allies, Naruto said, before grabbing the guards by their necks and snapping them, killing them quickly and painlessly, since they were smart enough to cooperate. Was it really necessary to kill them? Katara asked, as the 3 siblings stepped out from where they were hiding, feeling uncomfortable at how casually Naruto killed the soldiers. Yes. I don't like it either, but if we let them go, then they would have alerted their allies and they'd be ready for us. And we couldn't just leave them tied up, otherwise they would have been found or escaped, and again, alerted their allies, replied Naruto, not liking the idea of killing either, but he's learned that sometimes it was necessary, especially when people like Ozai have no problem killing anyone that gets in their way, even their own family. This made the 3 nod hesitantly in understanding at his reasoning, and knowing that in war, killing is sometimes necessary. Something they may eventually be forced to do, as well. The crew then boarded Appa and flew off towards the rig, eventually arriving and seeing how heavily patrolled it is. We can't go there yet, we'll be captured. We should wait for nightfall and then sneak on, to get Haru, Sokka said, with the others nodding in agreement, as they began flying around the rig, waiting for nightfall, along with memorizing the layout. After a couple hours it was finally nighttime, with Korra directing Appa down to the rig, where the earthbenders were being kept, with the teens jumping onto the rig once they were close enough. Go! Korra whispered to Appa as she jumped off, while holding Aang's staff, as even if she can't airbend yet, it could still be useful. Appa groaned, before flying off, while the crew began searching the tents for Haru, eventually able to find him. Haru. Katara whispered, shaking him awake, with Haru groaning as he woke up only to fully awaken as he looked at them in shock. Katara, Naruto, Korra, Sokka. What are you guys doing here? How did you even get here? Haru whispered, not believing they were actually here. It's my fault you were captured. We came to rescue you, replied Katara, with being Haru surprised by this, as the others nodded in agreement. You've got guts, I'll give you that. Hang on, there's someone I want you all to meet, Haru said, before turning to an old, grey-bearded man and shaking him awake, with the man waking up and was surprised when he saw the 4 teenagers. Guys, this is my dad, Tyro. Dad, these are Naruto, Katara, Korra, and Sokka, Haru introduced. It's an honor to meet you, said Katara as the 4 bowed slightly, while Tyro got over his surprise at their presence and nodded. It's an honor to meet you all, as well. Haru has told me all about you, Tyro said. If you don't mind me asking, what's your escape plan? Naruto asked, wondering what plan they had to escape. Excuse me, said Tyro, frowning in confusion at the question. You know, the plan to get everyone off the rig. What is it? Mutiny, sabotage, said Korra, seeing how many Earthbenders were here and knew they could take on the Firebenders and escape. The plan is to survive. Wait out this war. Hope that one day, some of us can get back home and forget this ever happened, Tyro said in resignation, having given up on escaping and could only hope some of them could get home. How can you say that? You sound like you've already given up, Katara said, refusing to believe they've given up on escaping. Katara, I admire your courage. And I envy your youth. But people's lives are at stake here. The warden is a ruthless man, and he won't stand for any rebellion. I'm sorry, but we're powerless, replied Tyro, before nodding to Haru to go back to sleep, before doing so himself. Haru, you aren't really going to just stay, here are you? Katara asked, only for Haru to shake his head. Sorry guys, but you can't get all of us out of here, said Haru, before laying down. We'll see about that, Katara said stubbornly. Katara, what do you think? Sokka asked warily, not liking the look on his sister's face. We are thinking that we're going to get all the Earthbenders out of here, and give them back their hope, said Naruto, now refusing to leave until they showed the Earthbenders they can fight back. I was afraid you'd say that, Sokka muttered in resignation, before they exited the tent and moved behind some crates. We don't have much time. What are we gonna do? Sokka asked, looking to see if any of them had a plan. Really wish I could airbend, I could just blow the warden and guards into the sea, Korra said, while clutching the staff tightly. Even if you could, we can't do anything unless the Earthbenders are willing to help themselves, said Katara, knowing they couldn't just free them, they also had to restore their spirits. For that, they'd need some kind of earth, or some rock. Something they can bend. And it looks like this entire place is pure metal, Sokka stated, before Naruto got their attention as he pointed at the smokestacks. No, it's not. Look at the smoke. I bet they're burning coal. In other words, earth, said Naruto, while smirking. Later, Korra, Katara, and Sokka stood around an air duct as the morning light was beginning to shine on them. It's almost dawn. We're running out of time. You sure this is gonna work? Katara asked. It should. These vents reminded me of the ones back in the village. They should be connected underground like those ones. There's a huge deposit of coal at the base of the silo. And the whole system is ventilated. Naruto closed off all the vents except one. When he does his wind ninjutsu thing, the coal only has one place to go, right back here. Sokka said. There's the intruders. Shouted a guard, as the siblings tensed as they saw they were now surrounded by spear-wielding guards. Stay back. I'm warning you. Sokka said, pulling out his boomerang, while standing back to back with his sisters, while the prisoners stood at a safe distance away, observing what was happening. All of you stop. You can't win this fight. Tyro said, not wanting to see children get hurt on a fool's errand. Listen to him well, children. You're one mistake away from dying, where you stand. Said the warden, while smirking at the Southern Water Tribe siblings. If there was ever a time for any avatar powers, now is the time. Korra thought, hoping at least one of her past lives would be willing to lend a hand. Suddenly a rush of air fills their ears as the facility shakes. The ventilation shaft bursts off its hinges as an immense amount of coal flies into the air, crashing down into a gathered pile. Everyone present was silent, staring in stark surprise at this turn of events. With Naruto soon flying out, covered in coal dust coughing, with Momo flying out and onto his shoulder. Seeing this, Katara went up and picked up a piece of coal, holding it up. Earthbenders. You don't know me, but I know of you. Every child in my water tribe village was rocked to sleep with stories of the brave Earth Kingdom, and the courageous Earthbenders who guard its borders. Some of you may think that the Fire Nation has made you powerless. Yes, they have taken away your ability to bend. But they can't take away your courage. And it is your courage they should truly fear. Because it runs deeper than any mine you've been forced to dig, any ocean that keeps you far from home. It is the strength of your hearts that make you who you are. Hearts that will remain unbroken when all rock and stone has eroded away. The time to fight back is now. I can tell you the Avatar has returned. So remember your courage, Earthbenders, here's your chance. Take it. Your fate is in your own hands. Katara said passionately, hoping that would be enough to help them fight. Haru was about to step forward wanting to fight, only for his father to stop him. While the warden burst into laughter at her attempt to give the Earthbenders hope. Foolish girl. You thought a few inspirational words and some coal would change these people. Look at these blank, hopeless faces. Their spirits were broken a long time ago. Oh, but you still believe in them. How sweet. They're a waste of your energy, little girl. You failed. The warden sneered, before he and his guards were suddenly hit by a large blast of water knocking them back, with the warden growling in anger and looked to see who hit him, only to see Naruto, who had dropped his transformation, exposing himself. Don't you dumbasses ever know when to shut up? Seriously, it's like you all enjoy hearing the sound of your own voices. Said Naruto, as the warden stood up and smirked, recognizing who he is. Ah, well, isn't this a surprise? The Fire Lord will be pleased when I deliver you to him, boy. The warden said, seeing his ticket to getting promoted off this rig. I think he'll be upset, when you failed to catch us. Said Korra, stepping up with Aang's staff in her hands. Oh. And why would the Fire Lord care about a little girl, like you? Retorted the warden. Korra closed her eyes and held the staff in her hands, mentally hoping this would work. Aang, please, if you can hear me, I need your help. Katara is willing to do anything to restore the Earthbender's spirits. Naruto exposed himself to show them that they can fight the Fire Nation. Now I need to show them that the Avatar has returned and will save them. But I can't do that without your help. So please, help me show the world that the Avatar hasn't abandoned them. And, to prove to myself, that I really am the Avatar. Korra mentally pleaded, knowing she couldn't do this without Aang's help, to be able to airbend and show everyone the Avatar is back, but also to prove to herself that she can live up the title. At first nothing happened, making Korra think that it didn't work, but not a moment later, she felt it as her eyes snapped open. And to everyone's shock, Korra's eyes were now glowing white, as the silhouette of Aang appeared behind her for a moment. Then before the guards and warden could react, Korra spun the staff around, before swinging at them, unleashing a powerful blast of air at them, launching them into the air. With Korra then rotated her arms as 5 large pillars of water shot out of the ocean. Seeing this, Naruto went through hand signs. Lightning style. Electromagnetic murder. Naruto said, shooting a current of electricity into the water pillars, with Korra directing the electrified water towards the airborne firebenders, slamming them back into the ground while giving them a nasty shock, as well. While the Earthbenders looked on in shock at seeing the Avatar has returned, and was now fighting alongside them. The Avatar has returned, Haru declared, before rushing forward and stomping his foot, bending the coal and launching it at the warden and the guards. The warden snarled at the fact that not only Naruto and the Avatar were here, but now the Earthbenders thought they could defy him. In response he shot a blast of fire at Haru, only for it be blocked by Tyro, his spirit having been restored at the sight of Naruto and Korra fighting. Show no mercy, shouted the warden, as he and the guards launched several blasts of fire at the crew and Earthbenders. For the Earth Kingdom, attack! Tyro yelled, as he and the Earthbenders bent a sizable mass of coal, blocking the fire, slamming the coal to the ground. Chunks of rock assault the guards. The battle immediately flaring, as prisoners ducking blasts of fire and countering with fists of coal. Katara, Korra, and Naruto chase after Sokka, as he snaps soldiers' spears in two with his boomerang, while tossing the broken shafts to Momo overhead. With Momo continuing to collect other pieces of broken spears, that are thrown up to him. Tyro and Haru worked in unison to gather and compress the coal into one lump, slinging this through the doors to make way for their escape. With the guards on top fall down. Get to the ships. We'll hold them off, Tyro said to the crew. Do not let them escape, shouted the warden, with Korra seeing the firebenders were all lined up, before creating an air funnel. Give me some coal, Korra said in a dual-toned voice, with Katara and Sokka grabbing some coal and putting it in the funnel, which was sent flying towards the warden and guards, with Naruto going through hand signs again. Fire style. Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu, Naruto said, before unleashing a volley of mini fireballs that ignited the coal, as it impacted the firebenders. Following this, Tyro and the two other earthbenders worked together to lift coal beneath their enemies, moving them away from the rig and over the ocean. No, please. I can't swim, the warden pleaded. Don't worry. I hear cowards float, retorted Tyro, before dropping the warden and the guards into the ocean. Later, after taking care of the remaining guards, and throwing them into the ocean as well, the earthbenders had managed to secure the barge to get off the rig. I want to thank you for saving me. For saving us, Haru said, while smiling at his new friends. All it took was a little coal, replied Katara. It wasn't the coal, Katara. It was you, all of you, for restoring what we once thought was lost. Our hope and our spirits. And thank you, Avatar. Tyro said, bowing to Korra, while the twins blushed in embarrassment. It was nothing really. You guys did most of the work, replied Naruto, while smiling at Tyro and Haru. Thank you for helping me find my courage. My family and everyone here owes you all so much, Tyro said. It's no problem really. And when you get back, tell everyone the Avatar has returned. But if you could, don't tell anyone that it's me. I still have a lot of training to do, before I'm ready, said Korra, with Tyro and Haru nodding in understanding. Thank you, Aang. Korra thought, smiling at the staff, glad that her past life helped her, along with now being able to really airbend. Though she could only do it with a medium, like the glider. But it was still a major improvement, when compared to before. The crew then parted ways from the Earthbenders, as they continued on their journey. Well, it looks like airbending is going to be much easier to learn now. But I still need to use the glider's fan to airbend effectively, stated Korra. Still, this is a big improvement, Korra. You're starting to move past your doubts and are starting to see that you can be a great avatar, Katara said, while smiling at her twin. She's right. You may not know it yet, Korra. But this will be the start of you stepping into your role as the Avatar, and showing the rest of the world that there is hope. It might have also helped channeling Aang's spirit to partially unblock your airbending, and now you can really start using those scrolls, Naruto added. Plus, with all that gold Naruto had swiped from that old man, we can buy you some high-quality folding fans. Maybe some metal ones, since it will give you another medium to use your airbending with, Sokka said, since while Korra does have the glider, it would be best for Korra to have something else to fall back on, for her airbending. This made Korra smile lightly, knowing that even if he's gone, Aang was looking out for her from the spirit world. Unfortunately, the good mood was ruined, when Katara went to touch her necklace, only for her eyes to widen in shock and horror. My necklace, it's gone, Katara said, horrified that she lost her mother's necklace, while her siblings and Naruto's eyes widened at hearing this. Later. Meanwhile, back on the rig, Azula picked up Katara's necklace, before looking out at the ocean, narrowing her eyes, while Mai and Ty Lee looked over the damage done to the rig. Wow, Foxy and his friends really did a number on this place, Ty Lee said, looking at the damage done, and was amazed that the rig was still standing. They had it coming. This entire place is just one big excuse for the Fire Nation to show our superiority to the other nations. That we can enslave them, by taking them away from anything they can bend or use to fight back. It's really pathetic and barbaric, and only gives us more enemies to fight, Mai said, dully, while only those who know her could hear the distaste in her tone. Are you really that surprised, given my father is in charge? He's a psychopath, that lack empathy and love towards anyone or anything, besides himself. Even his own family are little more than pawns to use or throw away, if they prove useless, Azula said, while touching the spot where her scar was, with Ty Lee and Mai frowning at that, along with being thankful that Ozai's plan to turn Azula into a copy of himself failed, thanks to Naruto. There are no survivors, the warden and his men all drowned, before we arrived, said Zuko as he and Iroh walked up to the girls, having searched in and around the rig for any survivors, but found none. Though some of the damage caused by these attacks, they don't seem like they were done by earth or water. It seems as if the damage was done by pressurized air. Iroh said, having noted the difference to the damage done to the rig, being able to tell what kind of attacks caused what damage. Air attacks. Naruto once told me he can use all 4 elements, plus lightning, so he could be responsible for it. Azula said, with Zuko nodding, but didn't look convinced. Maybe, but I'm not sure. If it was Naruto, then the damage would be much more significant and widespread. These seemed focused, more precise, as if it was done by an airbender. If that's true, then one those water tribe girls with him is the Avatar. Said Zuko, now realizing why they hadn't had any luck in finding the Avatar. They were searching for an elderly air nomad, who's long since passed and been reincarnated. Then it just gives us one more reason to find Naruto, and now the Avatar. Azula stated, pocketing the necklace, with Zuko nodding in agreement before they returned to the ship. While word may get out from those escaped Earthbenders, that the Avatar has returned, they can take solace in that they're now the only members of the Fire Nation, with knowledge that the Avatar is one of those 2 Southern Water Tribe girls.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like this video if you want some more What If video. Comment 3 hearts for more What If.